Now we have a robust panel discussion on building strong ambassador programs with absolute community stars. Hey, Imogen. Imogen's going to be facilitating this fabulous discussion between Jenneviere Villegas, Michelle Sims, Pramod Rao, and Nikki Thibodeau, some of my friends. So I'm joyous for this. Imogen, I'm going to hand it off to you.
God, it's an amazing group, isn't it? Thank you, everyone, so much for joining us for this panel about creating loyalty through contribution and building strong ambassador programs. So in this session, we're going to be exploring the secrets to creating successful ambassador programs that empower your members to become enthusiastic advocates. From managing applications, setting expectations, and rewarding those advocates, we're going to be getting all the insights from the people who have written the playbook. And speaking of the people, I'm joined here by Jenneviere, Michelle, Nikki, and Pramod. So Jenneviere is an enthusiastic community builder with a superpower for bringing the right people together at the right time to educate, inspire, and connect them. She spent 20 years bridging the gap between marketing and community across a wide range of companies. At Shopify, she even led multiple successful community initiatives across North America, connecting with tens of thousands of customers and brands. And she's now bringing her superpower to clients as a senior community and engagement consultant and strategist as the founder of Engagement Alchemy. Hi, Jenneviere.
Hello, hello.
We're also joined by Michelle, who is a seasoned community builder, event expert, and marketer with a decade of experience in her field. At Finimize, Michelle manages the largest global retail investor community with over 1 million members. She scaled the Global Ambassador Program and leads a team of high-achieving volunteers who run 300 plus events annually with 60,000 attendees each year, which is crazy. I feel tired just thinking about it. Pramod is the CEO and co-founder of Threado, an AI-powered co-pilot built to help improve and provide the best support to customers and community across your Slack, Discord, and website, so no question goes unanswered. And after growing their own community huddle for founders and support leaders, Threado took it one step further by launching an affiliate program to help community builders become trusted partners. And then Nikki also joins us. I told you it was a star-studded lineup. Nikki has been a community manager, led a global team of community managers before she moved into community operations and was Shopify's first senior community strategist, helping scale their efforts across a 10,000 plus person organization and for their over 2 million merchants. Now she's working as the Senior Manager of Community and Customer Advocacy at Calix and is also the founder of the Community, a community for senior community professionals. Can you tell we like community around? Right. Well, that's enough from me, I think. I want to hand it over to you guys by kicking off with my first question. I'd love if you could each give me a quick introduction to how you use ambassador programs to support your community initiatives. Nikki, you're first on my screen, so let's kick off with you.
Yeah, so the place I'm going to be pulling from is when I was at Shopify, we ran a partner ambassador program with one of the main goals being to increase the amount of educational events that we held for our customers around the globe.
Amazing. And Pramod, what about yourself?
Yeah, so in my past role, I was leading user growth and community initiatives at Zomato. Zomato is equivalent to Yelp in the US. And we had a very well-organized ambassador program. I think it was 24 countries. In each of the cities, we had 13 levels of foodies, and they sort of had this recognition on the platform that led to the ambassador program, essentially.
Wow, that's incredible. Michelle, I'd love to hear more about Finimize and what you do there.
Yeah, so at Finimize, our ambassador program actually reached the incredible scale that you mentioned. So we've got 50 ambassadors. We run 300 events and about 70,000 actually attending each year. And we use it as this incredible tool, not only for advocacy, branding, scaling. It did all those things, but really it's all about kind of creating and accelerating this global financial literacy movement. And yeah, we've got some incredible, passionate community members who have propelled this for the last 3-4 years. So I definitely don't want to take credit for everything. It's really down to our community members and how passionate they are about spreading financial literacy all over the world.
And I'm just amazed that you could essentially go to a Finimize event every day of the year almost.
That actually was one of our goals. So yeah.
Jenneviere, it would be lovely to hear more about your experience. Obviously, you're working a little differently from these guys now. So how do you find working with ambassador programs?
Right. Yeah. So I just founded my consulting company last week. So it's all very fresh. And we're learning how to work in this new paradigm. Thank you. But you know what? I also have been doing some work with a company called Orbit. Maybe you're familiar with them. They're also a sponsor of this event. And there's been some really incredible work from the Orbit team about champions or ambassador programs within their platform, which I've been able to see from the inside. So very exciting. Hit me up if you want to know more about that.
Amazing. And I'd love to hear from all of you what your key strategies are for making sure that you select the right advocates for your community. I think that's so important, having the right voices at the forefront of your strategy. Michelle, how do you find that?
Yeah, I think so. For us, I mean, it kind of sits in two parts. So the first one is if we have, we already know the people and the community ambassador program that we want to launch, because we've launched multiple, then we kind of have a set criteria of what are those people going to be doing? Who do we want to select, basically? And it's almost like as if you were going out and headhunting people or giving people jobs. And it is a really special way to recruit people in that way, because often they are kind of people within the community that are showing up and, giving that, showing that they're, demonstrating some sort of activity or skill that you are proud of. So you can kind of highlight them and say, you've been promoted to this great experience that we're going to be running in the next 3 months. But then for our bigger ambassador program that scaled to that level, we have a bit more of a process around that, which is type forms. So we kind of go out to our community. We've got 1 million people worldwide that read our newsletter, and they can essentially self-select, going through questions in our application form. And then from there, we take them through a series of training programs, events, and then we also set KPIs for our volunteers as well. So, and I think a big one is also setting a time limit on how often people show up, and because some people join an ambassador program and they're just kind of hanging on for a year, and they're like, am I still part of it? Am I not? So kind of adding this is a 3-month time-based session helps that experience as well, makes people understand what they're kind of signing up for and how long they need to be, active for.
Yeah, definitely. And I think KPIs is such an interesting point. I think so many people shy away from giving their volunteers KPIs, but it actually gives them some much needed structure, I think.
Yeah. And we would never call it KPIs.
Yeah.
You guys can do. And, if you want to do it, you can do it. If not, then don't worry about being part of the program, kind of thing.
Nikki, you were nodding away a lot while Michelle was speaking. I'd love to hear your insights in this as well.
I had made some notes to the side, and I was like, that's on my notes, that's on my notes. I think the point of being really clear. So you have to have really clear goals for your program so that you can best write up what is essentially kind of like that job description that Michelle was talking about that you're going to go out for. But the biggest thing I think is being really clear about what they're going to be doing so that they understand what they're signing up for. And then the only thing I'll add that is still on my list is one of your goals should have diversity in mind. So how can you create more diverse voices within the space? I think on your end should be one of the criteria that you're looking at.
Yeah, that's an amazing point. Jenneviere, I'd love to hear your take on this as well.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what everyone else has already said, I'm like ticking those boxes, like yes and. So like, I'll just add my voice to what's already been shared. Yes, planning goals. I think the planning part is like the most important part. I recently actually launched a small niche community with a colleague and friend, also in the B2B industry, and we literally spent weeks planning before we even sent out that first invite to figure out our goals, not only our goals, but our goals in supporting our community members. Like, what are they getting from us? And I always want to have a program that gives more than it takes. So like, how are we supporting our members and writing out like, here's what you'll get by being a part of this community. And I think that's a great opportunity to share in any ambassador program as well. And I'll just lastly sort of tie it up with like, I know this is not like the sexy advice, like plan, write things down, but like it really does set your ambassadors up for success, which means that you can share that success with people like your leads, your director levels, your exec levels.
Yeah, amazing. And Pramod, I know that Threado, the ambassador program, you do offer kind of gaining commissions from referrals when people send colleagues to your platform. And in your experience, what do you think are the most effective ways for rewarding and motivating your ambassadors to kind of maintain their dedication to the program? Do you find that that's had a big impact on people, or are there other things that you use as well?
Yeah, and just full transparency, it's fairly new program, so still early in terms of figuring out and seeing results. But I've seen, like in my past journey at Zomato, like for 6 years, we had a very strong ambassador program. I think few things that really worked in terms of ensuring it shapes up well is recognition. We used to identify ambassadors purely by the level of contribution on the platform. Like, are they posting reviews that would be helpful for other foodies? Are they posting photos and so on? So there was a point system that led to like a leaderboard. And to Michelle's point, we had to make sure that it was recent contributions and not like historic. So like there's a recency also like baked in. And I think it's very important that ambassadors get the recognition for the effort that they put in. So we did a lot on the platform itself to, call them out or show them on the restaurant pages. Maybe they have a different profile. But that's just one aspect of it. But then there are multiple other ways, like, giving them access to early features, getting them involved in our journey. I know in Zomato Portugal, we used to invite ambassadors to our office so that they get to meet the team. Usually like brands are behind logos. So just being human about this, involving them in ideation of the product and so on. So I think those make a lot of difference in how ambassadors feel passionate about the program itself.
Yeah, definitely. Those are some amazing ways to recognize people as well. And Michelle, I'd be really interested in knowing how Finimize recognizes and rewards individuals when it's such a huge community and there's so many ambassadors. How do you find ways to single people out and make them feel special?
Yeah, I think this is one of the toughest things. And I think especially with Web3 coming up, there's tokenization and there's, the exchange of money these days. And so it's a lot of trial and error. And I definitely don't think it's a one size fits all for any community. So you need to do your research. But one of the frameworks that I kind of looked to after, running this for probably a year and a half and figuring out, all right, this kind of fits our ambassadors. So 3 things, and you can label them any differently. But the first one is status. So really finding a way to elevate the level of your ambassadors, propelling them into like this thought leadership, making them a bit famous, I guess you would say. The second thing is education. So kind of upskilling them, teaching them something new. You know, they're not coming to you because they want to get paid, because often they'll have some incredible jobs. They might be, you know, a analyst at BlackRock, or, you know, have an incredible job, but they're coming to us for a different purpose. So what can we educate them about? So it was always, we were doing a lot of skill shares, internal training sessions where they could jump on and learn from our team and what we're building. And then the third thing is belonging. So a lot of them, you know, they would be kind of on this journey kind of on their own. So they really wanted to meet like-minded people. And of course, you know, community, that's my jam. So events, you know, networking sessions, any way I could connect them together, coffee, chats, that really kind of, I think that last thing motivated people for the longest. They could make a connection within our ambassador program, because often they'd be hosting these events or doing things on their own. So in between that, it's like, how do I connect them together? How do I get, you know, this analyst to learn from this marketing person, and you know, really make that connection special.
Yeah, amazing. And I think what you said about no two communities being the same, I think that is such an important insight just across every part of community management. And on that note, Nikki, I'd be really interested to hear whether you find that there's any differences on how you reward and motivate your community ambassadors between Calix and the community, for example. Do you find it's any different when there's people who understand community more, or do you do similar things?
To be honest, it's all the same. And I think like that's one of the things, the framework is the same. But I think like when Michelle was saying, you know, status and education and belonging, those things are inherently things that we all seek, I think. And so, but the biggest thing is just asking them what they want. One of the things, the community is starting to build out its leadership structure. So we're going out and asking for volunteers to sit on a leadership team to be able to direct the future of the community. And so one of the biggest things in part of our recruit, if you will, is having these one-on-one conversations with the applicants and asking them what does reward look like? Because what I find a lot of community teams struggle with is access to budgets. And so sometimes you can't offer financial rewards or even swag because you don't have the finances to support it. And so figuring out what can status look like, or what can education look like within the confines of what you're able to give them will be probably the most beneficial. But asking them what they want is going to be step one.
Yeah, and I think people shy away from that so often. They think they have to have all the answers when it's so beneficial just to ask people how they want to be involved. And Jenneviere, I have a quick question to finish. A big question, but a quick question. Hopefully.
Oh, great. No pressure. Thank you.
As a community strategist and a consultant, if you're helping a company put together an ambassador program, how would you go ahead measuring the impact of the program on the community's growth, the organization's mission? Why do you think it's so important as part of a strategy?
Yeah, you weren't joking, huh? Thank you. I love this question. I actually have a spicy take for this question, and Nikki knows some of it. The spicy take that I have is this is going to be squishy, and it's a feature, not a bug. And I want to expand on that a little bit. We talked a little bit about KPIs. Those apply internally. KPIs, for anybody not like me who's allergic to acronyms, it means key performance indicators. This whole morning has just been me being allergic to acronyms all over the place. So data is useful, but it should be, in my opinion, a lagging indicator, not a leading indicator. Data tells you, like, how many people attended your event tells you the thing that happened in the past. You can use data, of course, going forward, but like growth for growth's sake, month over month growth for growth's sake in your community can often lead to dilution. Instead of, like, if you have 100 really super engaged people in your community, but you have this goal to be like, we need 100 more every month. By the end of 12 months, you can potentially have, you know, a thousand people in there who don't engage at all because you've diluted that community for growth's sake. So like you have to just be really careful. You have a mix of qualitative and quantitative as well, right? Like you can do things, and sometimes this can be more impactful when you're talking to execs and directors as well. Tell the stories from inside your community. Share quotes where your community member was like, oh my God, this is the best thing that happened to me all year. Like, data is fine. We see numbers, we see percentages every day, but for an exec to hear that kind of sentiment from your community member, have those quotes in your back pocket, have a couple slides built with your quotes from your community, the things that they're saying. And you can shine your spotlight on them, right? Like you can use them in case studies. You tell their stories. Your company has such an amazing spotlight. It's so big and powerful compared to those community members often, that taking and shining that light onto them, really, it's a mutually beneficial experience. Your organization gets that sort of squishy measurement, function, but your community members also get shared around, and that's just really can be really impactful for them.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I think so often businesses totally unappreciate the power of an amazing quote or an amazing sentiment. And then the second they see it on paper, suddenly it makes a bit more sense to them.
I have seen entire companies moved to tears because of a customer story. And then they go out and they support that customer. And now you have this beautiful flywheel where like everyone's winning all the time.
Yeah, that's incredible. And unfortunately, we've reached the end of our time. I can't believe that flew by so quickly. I feel like we've barely even touched the surface. So if anyone in the chat has more questions or just wants to know more about these incredible community builders' stories and the work that they do, then please reach out and well, I'm just inviting them to add you on LinkedIn, but add them on LinkedIn. It's community vibes. So thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate everyone chatting in the chat. I have it open on the side. And thank you to all of our speakers as well. You've been absolutely brilliant. Over to you, Vicky.
I'll take it away. Thank you so much. Thank you all. Actually, okay, that's fine. There are some questions for you in the chat, so pop over and find those. Okay,
we can do it.
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Hi, we're back. We're back.
This is what I was asking for, and Francisco knew. There was a question in the chat, and I'm just going to toss it for everybody. We've got 2 minutes, so Laser, do you have a criteria for who you accept, or is it basically anyone that applies? And I'm assuming that's around just like a closed community moment. Jenneviere just had a nod first, so like toss it out and then we'll go around.
Oh yeah, no, I actually you clarified it that at the end, like for a closed community versus an ambassador program, that might differ the answer for me. If it's an ambassador program, I wouldn't accept just anybody. If it's a community, depends on your community and what your goals are. Goal setting, planning. Woo.
Yeah, if it's a closed community, it would be like, yes. I think the answer is the same. You have to have really clear goals.
Yeah. Michelle?
Yeah, I think it also depends on the business needs. I think if you're plugging into potentially business goals and you need a certain person there to reflect, like on paper, this is the industry of people that we're showcasing, then yes. But otherwise, I think at its core, when you're kind of doing a very big at scale ambassador program like we didn't have a set criteria. We more just had, this is what you need to do as part of being a part of an ambassador program. So we just need to know if you can actually commit to that. And yeah, it's more around the commitment than anything else.
Absolutely. Pramod, you want to wrap us up?
Yeah, sure. No, I think, for closed communities, what's already been shared holds. I think having a select criteria helps. My experience was more for an open community. So there we had to create a criteria to identify, okay, these are the users with this particular behavior. So the structure was in such a way that it actually created ambassadors with a certain behavior, right? And then we sort of, ensure that, they are contributing as per the guidelines and so on. So it was sort of bottoms up identifying ambassadors rather than an application program for us.
Right. Yes, you all caught me on I misspoke, and I appreciate that everybody wrapped me up perfectly. Thank you all so much. And thank you, Imogen, for facilitating such an excellent conversation. See you all in the airwaves. Ciao for now. Super grateful.